Alright, this is Andrew with Joda Home Inspections. We're doing a sewer scope today here in Ogden. We're at 3121 Ogden Ave. And we have the camera pushed out 96 feet to the city connection. Now we're going to record it and pull it back and see what we find. So the first connection point is called the nose on. That's where it goes from your lateral line into the main city line. Looks like it's a little bit of offset on that right hand side of the pipe. A little bit of a lip there where waste could potentially get stuck, but it's not a huge one. It's probably been like that for a while. That one was a little more concerning for sure. Let's see if I can see it again. There it is. Also a lot of waste right in front of it, so I couldn't see that joint as well. I think this might be clay pipe. There's a lot of buildup, so I'm not positive, but you have that red terracotta color, and so I think it's probably clay. You also have a lot of joints, which is more common with clay, shorter sections. I did see a couple of spots here with standing water right there. Those are bellies or flat spots where waste isn't draining on its own with gravity. It's just kind of sitting in the line, and then water will have to build up before it can wash out the waste. So it's more likely for it to back up when you have situations like that. Those ones weren't incredibly long, but there were a couple of them. It's not going to be as bad as I pull my camera back, because a lot of that would have been washed out as I push my camera through. But you can still see some spots where it's bad enough that it doesn't just go away as I push my camera through it. I did notice a fair amount of kind of sludge on those little bellies, so you could consider having the line hydrojetted out. Now it looks like we're transitioning to, looks like cast iron. Cast iron gets real rough and rusty. That's not the worst looking cast, but I mean, it's still cast, which gets rough and rusty. You want to avoid putting wet wipes down the line. There's also a lot of debris stuck in it. So another reason to have it cleaned. Try to get that line smoother and prevent that from happening as much. One limitation I have at this house is we're at a duplex, and typically as I'm doing this scope I would run water from the other side of the duplex to see if they're connected, to see if they're feeding into the same lateral line. Nobody's answered the other door. You know, I've reached out. Sounds like they're trying to get in contact with those tenants, but we're starting to run into limitations now without having access to that other unit. And so I don't know if this is a lateral line for only one unit or both. That would be something to ask the seller about, to reach out to the city about, but without having access to the other unit while I do the scope, I can't be sure. Going through more running or standing water here. So this is under the house, so that's a hard spot to get to, because if you were to dig that up to re-slope it, you'd have to open up the slab in the basement, and so that's really going to add to the expense. I would clean it first. I would clean the line and have it scoped again. And if you hydrojet it, they're going to include a scope at the same time. They scope it so they can see what they're doing. But I would recommend getting the line cleaned and then also getting the insurance on the line. The insurance would help offset the cost if there's a backup or a bigger issue in the future. So that is something I would recommend. And then also I'd look into whether that other line on the other unit is tied into the same line or whether it has its own lateral line that needs to be scoped as well. I'm going to end this recording now.